Right here, child care costs between $26,000 and $40,000 a year. That's more than it costs, that's double the cost of a SUNY or CUNY college education. They get worn down by it, right? This takes a toll, but you know what? At some point they might just say, I can't do this anymore. I have to leave a place I grew up in, a place I love. That to me is tragic.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall. That was Governor Hochul last week announcing the first phase of a plan for statewide universal child care, where she committed to funding the first 2 years of the program in New York City, partnering with Mayor Mamdani to help fulfill one of his signature campaign promises. Joining me now to discuss all of this is Emmy Liss. She is the newly appointed Executive Director of the Mayor's Office of Child Care. Thank you for coming in. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
So you've got a big job. Tell me what it entails, because universal child care, obviously, the mayor's big campaign promise. Governor Hochul is on board. It's an enormously complex undertaking. Is it your job to now put this into practice?
Yes. So Mayor Mamdani campaigned on a vision of universal child care, a system where every family has access to free, high-quality care for children under 5 in a range of child care settings and cared for by caregivers who are well paid and respected. And that's what we're out to achieve, which is no small task, but the mayor and governor's shared announcement last week puts us really well on our way there, with a commitment of over $1.2 billion to ensure that the city's 3K system is truly universal. Applications opened yesterday, and all families with a child turning 3 or 4 this year should apply. And it also allows us to start expanding care for 2-year-olds this fall.
So that program for 2-year-olds is being branded 2Care, right? And the governor announced last week she would provide funding in the first year. It would be for 2,000 students, right, for the 2Care program, and then expanding year after year. Is that basically the scope of the program that you are now tasked with implementing, or could it change if there's more funding streams, whether from the city or from elsewhere?
So the mayor's commitment is that by the end of his first term, we'll be serving every 2-year-old in New York City with access to that program. So we will scale it up over the next couple years until we reach every family who'd like to participate. And then from there, the vision is to continue growing until we're serving all children under 5.
So explain to me, just like on a very basic level, how this is going to work, because there's obviously child care centers, there's home-based child care. So does the city just hand out vouchers and you use that money and then pay the provider, or is this all going to be centralized and the city will administer all of these programs? Like, how is this going to work? What's the vision?
Yeah, so the city's 3K and pre-K programs are built on a partnership between the city and child care providers. So today, families can participate in 3K and pre-K at a public school, but also with a child care provider in their community, including home-based providers for the city's 3K program. And our vision is to keep growing that partnership. We will build access for 2-year-olds in partnership with community-based child care programs, especially with home-based providers, which we know is often the setting that families really prefer for their youngest children. As we design this, though, we really need to be out in communities talking to families about what they want, and listening to how that varies across different neighborhoods, talking with providers about the services they offer and how that meets the different needs of their communities. So we'll be continuing to design as we engage in those conversations.
And there obviously aren't enough spots now, right? So this is going to involve creating many more spots, many more providers. I mean, how do you even go about doing this? You've got to create facilities, you've got to hire people. What is that going to look like?
Absolutely. We need a comprehensive approach that's going to take all of government to implement universal child care, which is really the function of the office I'm now leading at City Hall, is to ensure that we are partnering across every city agency to make this vision a reality. So thinking creatively about all of the physical spaces in our city and where we have ability to grow child care of every type. Thinking comprehensively about workforce development and how we're partnering across all of the many institutions and partners to build a pipeline of educators and continue to grow and sustain the educators in the field. This is going to be complex and require partnership from everyone, and we're committed to that.
So you have some experience, some relevant experience. You worked under Mayor de Blasio during the universal pre-K rollout. Talk about some of the lessons learned from that experience and how you can apply them now.
Absolutely. So The universal pre-K rollout, I think, similarly called on every part of city government to ensure that we could scale up and provide access quickly to all 4-year-olds. And so that's really the model I'm taking now as I think about how we bring in the Department of Health, the Department of Buildings, the Fire Department. I think everyone thinks about the Department of Education, which was where I was during the de Blasio administration, but it really takes all of those agencies to get this done. I think the beauty and what people really took away from the universal pre-K expansion is that it was universal. And so we so quickly went from a system where families were paying $20,000, $25,000 out of pocket for pre-K to a public good and something that families knew they could count on. And that built a really strong constituency for the program. And when we think about our commitment to scaling our new investments to be truly universal, I think we're taking a lot of those lessons to heart, that when you show families and communities what government can deliver, it really changes what's possible.
So Mayor Mamdani, when he was a candidate, talked about not only 2-year-olds, but from 6 weeks all the way to age 5. That was sort of the concept of universal childcare. We're not going there yet. It sounds like we're starting with 2 care down to to the 6 weeks. Does that come later? What sort of timeline are we talking about?
So the commitment that we have right now with the funding that the governor has committed and our continued partnership with the governor will allow us to start scaling. But the goal is to grow, to serve every child under 5, and that will require real investment. And so the conversations will continue between the city and the state about how we can get that done.
I think part of the reason that universal pre-K was hailed as such a success is because it was done quickly. I mean, it was something like 18 months that you stood up the entire program and made it citywide. Is that sort of the same template where you're just moving fast and trying to get this, trying to get this built as quickly as possible?
We're trying to move quickly because we know that families need relief. Families are spending, as you heard Governor Hochul say a few minutes ago, $26,000, $30,000, even $40,000 a year on care. So we want to deliver this quickly for families, but we also recognize that we have to do this in close partnership with child care providers, and we have to be working closely with community. So we will scale up this 2-year-old program over the next couple of years. Again, the goal is by the end of the mayor's first term, we will reach everyone. So it'll be quick, but it'll be in a spirit of real partnership with community.
Big job ahead of you.
Yes.
We wish you the best of luck. Emmy Liss, thank you for coming in and spending some time with us.
Thank you so much.